man and he can't lie. His word is true, can I testify? If he said it, he will do it. I believe it. Hey, he's not a man and he can't lie.
Sure. Let's go.
If he said it, he will do it. I believe it.
Hello and welcome to Agape's Midday Talk Session. The time now is 2 minutes past 1 p.m. on a beautiful Friday afternoon. And for you, our new listener or viewer, I just want to tell you the Midday Talk Session is when we bring incredible guests who have amazing reputation in whatever they're doing, captains of industries, influencers and movers and shakers of Port Elizabeth. That was the former name. Now it's called Abeja. I don't know if you know how to pronounce it.
Well,
Cool.
I can try later on.
Awesome.
Cool for that.
Cool. And with me in studio today is none other than Led Zepplin. Okay, sorry.
Hey, how's it?
Good, man. We have Zepplin Adams with us today. And Zepplin Adams is an entrepreneur. So I'm going to read his bio. Zepplin Adams is an entrepreneur, a visionary, and a sound engineer with more than 10 years of experience in operating sound equipment. He has worked alongside numerous industry professionals and music giants at various events, venues, and locations, from church auditoriums to both live indoor and outdoor venues and concerts across the Eastern Cape. He is the founder of newly established sound and production company Let Zepplin, not Led, Let Zepplin, which which prides itself in quality equipment and service for private, public, and corporate gigs. Zepplin says his company is very importantly founded on the basis of promoting an interest to the youth in the arts and culture industry. He says many youth are not aware of all the supporting elements and behind the scenes work which makes up a production, sound being one of those elements. He wants to change the narrative for those who may have always felt more technically inclined. That's so cool. And if so, sound might be that special place for them, just as has been for him. This is what his words. He says, "I have always been intentional. I've always found purpose in my detours and how it takes me closer to where I want to be." These are Zeppelin's words as he reflects on his journey and career. "It has not been an easy path, but a lesson-filled one. Indeed, I'm only beginning." He is excited about his first project as he looks forward to growing his brand and skill set, whilst plowing back into others what has been sown into him. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Zepplin Adams. How are you, sir?
I am doing very well, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's good to have you in studio with us. So, you know, when we were chatting and I was looking at the bio and I was like, man, we speak in the same language, you know, because sound engineer, I'm a sound engineer, so I was like, this is gonna be interesting mix. All right, you don't put two engineers together.
I won't lie. I'm actually very nervous, but I'll be okay.
All right,
you're a very cool guy and stuff. Really calmed me down. But I'm happy to be here.
No, awesome.
And I'm excited.
Awesome. That's cool, man. So let's start from the very beginning. I like beginnings because everybody's passionate and like excited. This new idea of vision. As you said, you're a visionary and an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are dreamers, and unfortunately, many of us live in the dream world more than in reality.
Yeah.
So let's go back a few years back. when did this idea occur to you? And how did you feel about launching forth? Were you employed in a corporate and decided to let me take a leap of faith? How was it?
So, you want to know how Led Zeppelin started?
Yes.
Or how I started?
Is there a difference between the two?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
let's
there's a difference between the two. Because initially I wanted to be a board player.
All right.
I was
Like you mean
always
keyboard?
Yeah.
All right.
I was always passionate about music, and I thought keyboard would be the direction that I would take. And I started learning the keys, and I'm like, yo, this is not easy. I don't think it's not going as well as I thought, right?
Okay.
And I did that for a while afterwards. The interest was still there, but the ability to succeed in it wasn't there. Or maybe the drive wasn't there.
Exactly, the drive.
And then we moved to a different church, and then again I was passionate about the keys. I don't know how, I'm not sure how, I ended up in the media team.
All right.
And that's where it all started. Then I realized, you know what, I actually am very passionate about sound, because I was doing, the lyrics in church and all of that. So I'm like, I actually want to do sound. This seems like something that I would enjoy. And when I realized how good I was at it, or how easy it was for me to learn, instead of playing keys, that's where my whole journey began. That's where I started. The interest grew, basically. The interest grew. I became more passionate. I used to walk very far to church, but I used to go early. I used to go early to rehearsals and then just play around with the keys. Still wanting to learn keys and stuff.
Yes.
And later I just stopped. I just started to focus on sound. Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you started.
That's how I started.
And how did Led Zeppelin start?
So I never thought that I would want to have my own company one day, or do my own thing.
Yeah.
But the more you do something, that your interest increases. The passion, the more you feed it, your passion starts to burn, starts to grow, yes. And so from starting as a freelance sound engineer, the vision just came to me like, you know what? This is actually something that I want to do for the rest of my life. This is actually something that I want to wake up to in the middle of the night and do it, even if I just had 2 hours of sleep, it's something that I would do on any day, would do. If I didn't get paid to do it, I would do it for free. And that's when I realized that I think this is so much bigger than just being a sound engineer, just going out and then mixing at events or setting up sound. So I'm like, I can actually do this. I can have a whole company, I can do this by myself instead of hiring sound from someone else, or, so I could have my own gear, I could have my own production company, so much things that I want to do. So the vision just got dropped in my spirit, basically, and the ideas just came about, I don't know when exactly the first idea came, or how it came, but it just flows, man. It just flows. It just comes easily. So.
Cool. So that was about 8-10 years ago, something like that?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Cool. Please just tell us how you landed your first gig, and not the first paid gig.
The first paid gig.
Yes, and how you felt about it.
So my very first paid gig, right? Okay. I actually can't remember my very first paid gig, right? But the gig that can I say
took you off?
That took me off, right? Was with Marcus Putty, and so he had his anniversary, right?
Oh,
and
with his wife.
With his wife.
Okay,
yes.
okay, cool.
And he decided to do a whole show together.
Okay.
So him and his wife and his daughter, the whole family,
Sure.
So he's actually a guitarist, but
I
that
know.
day he decided to sing, So obviously he couldn't do the sound and everything, and that's when he got me in. He was like, Zep, I would really love you to. And I was so honored, you know, I felt so honored to do that for him, that he would trust me to do something like that. And then just after that, he said, oh man, money worry me. I'll set you up, you know what? I'll set you up with the right people. And that's when everything took off for me. So basically, he was the guy that that opened doors for me initially, you know.
Wow.
So he was the one who set me up.
Wow, awesome. For those who are listening and viewing us right now, being a sound engineer is quite a tedious job. I mean, we're talking about cables.
Sure.
We're talking about rigging and de-rigging and setting up and tearing down. It's not the easiest of jobs. So, and you've been in this 10 years.
Yeah.
What keeps you going?
You know what? It's really just the love for what I'm doing. You know, if you don't, like you said, it's very tedious. You know, there's a lot of. I always tell people there's a lot of boring things that you do with sound. You know,
yes.
like. And it's only your love for sound that can keep you going, you know, when you have to do those boring things. Like setting up, it can be boring, you know.
Yes.
I enjoy it. Some people might not, you know. Having to prepare, getting all your cables, getting all the equipment, getting the tech rider ready would seem boring. The most fun part would be mixing, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
So there's a lot of things that takes a lot of time and effort. That's part of the job, you know.
Yes.
That's most of the job actually. So it's only love and passion that keeps one going.
Cool. So I believe you said in your bio that you do private, you do corporate, and you do public, you know, events. So amongst the three, which one do you enjoy?
Can I be honest?
Be honest. It's all about honesty.
Okay. First of all, I enjoy all of them.
Okay,
you know?
all right.
I know event is a boring event. Okay, I'm lying. They are boring events. They are boring events. But there are some really nice corporate events where you just sit back and, you know, money in the bank.
Yes, I know.
You know, those where you don't have to do a lot. You just play music.
I know.
And it's over, you know?
Cool.
But I really enjoy live shows, you know. Like live performances with a full band and a vocalist. That is because that really brings out the creativity, you know, and it's a lot more work, you know. So it makes it more fun because you learn every time you're behind. Just you experiment, you know. You try new things, you know. You try and duplicate something that you've heard, you know, you want to have a similar sound to a certain album that you're listening to or whatever. So I really enjoy doing live events with a full band and everything.
Awesome. Yo, that is cool. Talking about full band, I'm very passionate about live mixing as well.
Yeah.
And you know, say for example, you've got the drum, just a drum by itself. You've got about 10 plus inputs on the drums. You know, and you know, keyboards, vocals, and all that. You know, so what has been your biggest input? You know, what desk, you know, and stuff like that. Let's go to a bit of a detail. What is the biggest thing that you've worked?
So the biggest setup that I've done was a 3-piece. 32 channels. 32. Right? Plus minus, no? Maybe say between 20 and 30 or something. No? That is a fully mic'd up drum kit. 2 or more keys, guitars, bass guitar, and then vocalists, you know. So I have done quite big setups, and it's very nice, it's very exciting, because now your snare has like 2 microphones, the kick has 2 microphones, you know, like it's really cool, and it's amazing how everything comes together, you know. So yeah.
With the mixing.
So I had an instance where I had a 4-piece band, 12 vocalists, and and the lead singer. Yo,
that's hectic. That's really good. I would enjoy something like that. Cool. So let's go a bit back. Now, in your 10 years, you know, working in this, I mean, you should be respectable. I
Mm.
mean, your opinion
Mm.
is respected because
Mm.
there's 10 years behind that opinion. So what have you discovered about this industry, in the 10 years of you being in it? Anything probably you didn't realize or didn't think about, this is how this industry works or something like that?
You know what? My core vision,
Mm.
I just want to say this first,
Yeah.
is, like I said, youth development now, and empowering youth and uplifting others and helping others grow.
Mm.
So the one thing, so I always, when I speak about my experience, I always speak from a point of encouraging others,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
So my encouragement would be that if, not just encouragement but a warning as well,
Mm. Mm.
if you are looking for fame and fortune, this is not the industry,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
Because this is the industry where you seldom get recognized.
Yes, he's
As
causing
you
the
know,
market,
yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Like, bruh, you could be a superhero to 10 people,
Mm.
but you're giving an experience to so many more people, you know.
Mm. Mm.
It's just to select you. Like, I will know you did a great job.
Mm.
Then you get the audience that will
Mm.
just be like, yo, that singer was
Yes,
dope,
yes,
you know,
exactly,
they
yeah.
had great vocals. But you know what? No one noticed the great sound, the great job that you did, you know.
It's true.
So
it's true.
it's really it's really all comes down to
Mm.
you'll only make it if you really love it, you know.
Mm.
It's not a industry where you
Mm.
get famous,
Mm.
you'll get a lot of money
Mm.
from the get-go, you know. There's a
Mm.
lot of free gigs that
Yeah, you have to
do.
build a
Yeah, you have
reputation
to
and a
build,
name.
and a
Mm.
lot of gigs that you have to do for exposure.
Mm.
So
Cool. And as you said, no one really pays attention until one thing happens, usually.
yo,
Until there's a feedback or
yeah,
crackling.
Then
or-
everyone looks back, you know. But when you're doing a great job,
Yeah.
it's like they thinking, no, but this is normal. This is how
It's
it
true.
should be.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not.
Cool.
You know, it's work.
Awesome. So let's talk about a situation that you felt was a totally new experience to you. Like, I mean, because as you are growing in the business, you're always pushing, you're getting your best. You are trying to, outdo your past, best experience. So, what has been this interesting experience that, or situation that was totally new?
Sure, man. A few years ago, I was the in-house engineer for Sown Entertainment,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And I was the only technical guy that was part of the
Oh.
team, you know. Everyone else was just vocalists
Mm.
and then musicians.
Mm.
So basically, that was quite an interesting experience for me. Because I had to do everything of myself. Sometimes we would travel on the road, we would go to Mossel Bay, we would go to Nijsna, we would go to Graafrenet, you know, we would go all over, and then I would have to pack the trailer, pack the sound, you know, drive, offload, set up.
Carry the bass bins.
You know, yo, bruh. So it was really intense. It required a lot of emotional and physical strength, even mentally, you know. Always had to prepare. And but the most challenging of those times would be when I would forget something. You know, that's when I learned, like, a checklist, bruh, is one of the most important things that you should have, you know. Because we would be in Mossel Bay, then I don't have an aux cable. You know, so now the show needs to start, and it's like half an hour before the show, people are already rocking up and there's no music playing. You know, or like I don't have my laptop charger. Or
My word.
so I really learned a lot from that experience, you know. And what I also learned there is that planning is very important, you know. Sorry, man, I forgot now. I lost my train of thought now. But basically,
planning.
In order for you to eliminate situations, where you have to think on your feet, right? You have to plan ahead, you know. And the more you grow, the less you have to think on your feet. So then you don't have to worry about, I have to come up with a solution now, because you've done proper planning, you know. And the more you grow, the less those situations will come up in an event and things like that.
For
So
sure.
I really learned the importance of planning during that time, you know.
My
And-
goodness. Because you know what, with sound and doing a live gig, there is so much that can go wrong, and it
lot.
only takes one thing. You
Bruh.
know, sometimes even on the desk, just one button, and you're looking for, you know,
Yeah, you like
yeah.
like with and if you haven't done a proper sound check
Mm.
and feedback happens and you don't know where it's coming from, you know, that's one of the most scariest moments
know.
ever, because now you have to find it on the desk. Look, yeah, and now you have to mute the lead singer. You know, you're muting the keyboard player, and it's like just crazy. So
Cool. Guys, I told you, you know, sometimes don't put engineers together. we might just get lost in our own, you know, conversation. But as you said, having a checklist is like something you've learned over time. This is absolutely important.
yeah,
There's another thing that's very important, and not just for you as an entrepreneur, but everybody.
yeah.
We all have names.
Yeah.
Naming someone or something is incredibly important. I want to find out why, all right, why Let Zepplin? How did that name come about?
Okay. So my name, my real name and my only name is Zepplin, you
Mm.
know,
Mm.
Zepplin Adams. So every time I introduce myself to people, they're like, Zepplin as in Led Zeppelin. And I'm like, no, you know, because that's what my grandfather said, because he named me, so he said my name doesn't come from them and stuff. But I thought, you know what, let me change the narrative. Why not say yes and be like, yeah, as in Led Zeppelin, you know? But funny story actually, before a couple of years back, when I was still discussing everything and thinking of names and all of that, Gerald Peterson actually said, why don't you call it Led Zeppelin? And I was like, no man, that name is already taken. Not thinking that he meant Led Zeppelin,
Yeah,
you know?
yes,
And then we moved on.
Mm.
And then, so when this whole idea came, I don't know if that was still in my subconscious or whatever, but that's how I came up with the name.
Oh.
So it is a pun
On
on
Led
Led,
Zeppelin
but
as
also
well.
it's my name, you know, and Led meaning allow. So let me do whatever you need. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Guys, please contact Led Zeppelin. If you don't have the contact details, feel free to contact us on our number 067 99 46. WhatsApp us, call us, text us. We are going to respond. Cool. So, talking about being a sound engineer, sometimes you can't be, you know, you even if you prepare,
Yeah.
there's sometimes one or two things is not there,
Yeah.
and something might be really important, you
Yeah.
know, for that, say on an aux cable,
Yeah.
and you need to play background music and
Yeah.
stuff. So describe a time when you were required to think on your feet, because that's actually one of the requirements. Really,
Yeah.
you have to be so canny as
Yeah.
an engineer that you'll be able to improvise,
Yeah.
you know, create you know, a solution on the go. Is there a situation that happened to you like that?
Sure. I would have to think now. There has been instances whereby I had to think of something on my feet. You know, for example, there were times when there wasn't enough auxiliary sends, you know,
Yes,
from a
yes.
mixer.
Yes,
And
yes,
now you have to make a plan, because now people need monitors on stage.
yeah,
So you have to think, how am I going to place this, you know, how
Yeah,
am I
yeah.
going to ensure that everyone has monitors, everyone
Yeah.
can hear.
Mm.
So a lot of times that has happened during an event, or a speaker goes out, you know. So I need to position the things differently, the speakers differently. Or you know what, also another challenging thing sometimes is when the desk has jack outputs, and then you don't have enough converters and things.
From jack to
So
XLR.
yeah, from jack to XLR. So literally the first thing that comes to mind, DI box.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
You know, you just think, okay, I need to convert this cable, and I'm literally just going to use the DI box as a converter from jack to XLR. So if I have a jack to jack cable, I use the DI box, convert it, and
That's
Bob's
it.
your uncle. So there's a lot of MacGyver tricks, you know, that you have to come up with sometimes.
It's true.
But
This is a
It
very, very interesting industry. Yeah.
There's a lot of things in sound there's a lot of things that's meant to be used in a different way. But sometimes, you can just use it for a whole
Yes.
different thing and it would still
It-
work.
yeah, I
you
know. Yeah.
So just like a DI box with a 2-channel, you would want to run maybe a stereo channel keys on there. But some guys, they run 2 instruments on one DI box, which is not ideal, but it works.
It does work. It does work. I mean, we're playing by the books and playing off the books and stuff like that. You have to be creative.
Yeah.
Because being a sound engineer, especially a mixing engineer,
Yeah.
front of house, it's like you're an artist.
Yes,
You are painting the sound.
You're
What
actually
people
the
are
extra
hearing.
guy in the band.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
You know what art is for the eyes. Sound is for the ears.
Yes.
And exactly. So colors and what have you. So you have to shape that experience.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about when you are going to rig up for a set. Let me just give you an ideal situation: a wedding,
Okay.
a wedding of about 40 plus people.
Mm.
How would you go about rigging? That situation. What are we talking about? We might not go into the very details, but how would you go about it?
So, when I look at any venue,
Mm.
and like there's a small venue now for
Mm.
wedding,
Yeah.
they always want to know where the stage will be,
Mm.
how the seating will be, how the seating is planned,
Mm.
and then you
Mm.
check for your placement of the speakers. Because for a wedding, you wouldn't really have lights and cameras
Mhm.
necessarily.
Yes,
You'd
yes,
get a
yeah.
photographer or videographer.
Mm.
But if I would just do sound at the wedding, I would check the layout of the building,
Mm.
then the placement of my speakers, which will be very important, and also where the stage will be and how far from the stage the speakers will be, and all of that. So you'd always consider, and the amount of people that would be in the building for the type of speakers that I have to get. I can't rock up with 4 tops and 4 basements, but it's like just 30 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an overkill.
Yeah, it's an overkill. Sometimes you want to have that headroom though, like with bigger events.
Yes.
You'd rather have more speakers and then have a lot of headroom than having a very little speakers and have to push it and get distortion and all of that.
Cool. So for guys who are maybe planning on wedding or anything, you heard it. This is your guy. Give him a shout. Please, in your experience, and for somebody who has no idea what sound engineering, probably they've just seen a movie or something like that, like the way we watch Suits, and we thought that's what being a lawyer is.
Yeah.
So for someone who has no idea what sound engineering is, if you can just describe it in a few words, what you think it is, and especially some of the most challenging parts that they have to get ready, to deal with. Because we're talking about events here, we're talking about a lot of planning, and sometimes disappointments, people not pitching up and what have you. What are some of the things that they should get ready for?
So, as much as it is very challenging, right? It is also one of the, I can almost say it's very easy in a way, because when you're listening to a band, right, I think of sound as amplification. Right? So you take what's there and you amplify it so people can hear it. You're not trying to change it. I'm not trying to change the sound of the band or the sound of the team, right? I'm trying to amplify it, trying to make it sound beautiful so that everyone can have a enjoying experience, But if you have all your things in place, right, use proper cables, use proper sound, good quality sound, then you won't have to do a lot, Also, your job as a sound engineer becomes very easy when the team you're working with is really good.
For sure.
Then it's so much easier. We work with you know what it's called. I don't want to say it now, but yeah, what you put in is what you get out.
Yes, I know.
There's a saying.
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out.
Yes,
exactly.
garbage in, garbage. That's the PG version.
Yeah.
So what you put in is what you get out.
It's true.
Right?
It's so
and
true.
sound, just think of it as as the team or the band, as the different colors to the painting, and you have a canvas and you just have to put it together, you know. You just have to put it on the canvas. In fact, like I said, you amplifying what they're doing, right? You're just amplifying what you're copying what they're doing, and you're turning it into a much better picture, you know.
For sure. Cool. Due to time, we're just gonna fast forward in a few questions. We've all been going. Every entrepreneur has gone through some really rough, time.
Yeah.
It's been COVID-19 pandemic, and we honestly, some have just escaped it by the skin of their teeth. Many businesses shut down, especially in your industry, because this is events, this is people, social, gatherings and what have you. That's where your business is in. How have you fared through these trying times?
Sure, bro. I won't lie to you. In the beginning, it was very slow because all I did was live events. You know, I don't really do production. So everything for me is live. So there was nothing happening. I literally had to find a different source of income. You know, I had to venture into a new avenue because it just wasn't happening in the sound industry. There was no gatherings allowed, nothing. Here and there, when it started, the regulations
easing off.
I did a few live streams, did a few recordings, all of that. But I literally had to find a different avenue, different stream of income, do something else. So it was challenging, but it also pushed me, it excelled me. I mentioned to someone yesterday, in conversation, and I said, COVID was a really terrifying time. It was a bad time, but it has taught us so much. It has taught us to think out of the box. It has taught us to be creative, and also to work smart with your money.
Yes, exactly.
It has taught us to think out of the box and just to be able to be creative with what you have.
It's true. It's true. And also, I believe you're not just like passionate. You're an entrepreneur. I know, so there's an engineering cap you have to wear, and there's also an entrepreneurship, hat, and those are two completely different things, because now you're engaging with clients, now you're engaging with your audience, two different, people that you're serving. So let's talk about, your particular interest in the youth and empowering them. Why do you have, why do you feel like the need to transfer what you have learned, in this tenure?
This is my favorite part of the interview. But it basically comes down to what I have experienced. I have a love and passion for sound engineering, and I know there's so many more youngsters out there that has a passion for music, that rappers, singers, and sound engineers, but don't necessarily have the funding or even the platform to practice their gift. So I want to be that guy who creates that platform. I want to make it easily accessible. I want to create a platform. I want to bring in big artists. They can come sit and have writing workshops, songwriting workshops, vocal training, musician training, teaching instruments, and all of that. So basically, I want to have an institution, like a school, like
an
academy.
Yes.
So yeah, bro, I just want to literally create a platform for the youth where everyone can excel in their gift, and they have a platform where they can learn and grow.
For sure. I mean, that's incredible because, if you have to leave a legacy, a legacy is usually bigger than the person. Talk about Mandela's legacy. Mandela is long gone, but his legacy still lives on. So transferring the skills, you are imparting and you're changing people's lives, that will outlive you. So that's absolutely, incredible. I mean, guys, if you need to hire a sound engineer for your events or whatever, you've heard the heart This, I believe, is the heart behind
Yeah.
everything. Definitely get in touch with Zepplin, and he'll sort you out on every level. Okay, so let's talk about your growth prospects, and we're just wrapping up right now.
So I have a couple of shows that I have planned out, right,
Okay.
right, that I'm gonna use to put myself out there. You know? So on the 9th of May, I have a ladies' gala, which is
Mm.
Mother's Day,
Mm.
right? And I thought it would be fit to have a ladies' gala for those people that don't know what to do for their moms. This would be the ideal gift, you know, to have their mom come out,
Yeah.
dress up elegantly,
Yeah.
have a live performance, have women encourage one another, have a
Yes.
speaker there
Mm.
with some really good music. So I thought that would be a great Mother's Day package, you know. And then somewhere I have events more often. And then also we starting rather a talk show on the 26th of May, so that it's
Awesome.
Coffee with Kirsty.
Yes.
Which is gonna air weekly on Facebook Live and
Alright.
YouTube. So that's really exciting, you know.
Awesome.
That's just two of the events that's happening this month.
Guys, you definitely want to attend, you know. So cool. Just the last question, and we call this $1 million or million rand.
$1 million question.
$1 million question. Cool. And I know many businesses sometimes are challenged by capital, you know, and issues like, okay, cool, the cash flow is there, but the dreams are bigger than the current cash flow, you know. So for you in this case, say should, you know, a listener, you know, God bless them, you know, or a viewer right now feel like, man, I'm so moved to invest in that guy, and I've got this a couple of thousands or even millions of rands that I would invest, you know, in this guy. I see he's got a potential. So what would you do to impact Eastern Cape, especially because this is a very challenged, you know, like geographical environment with regards to arts and culture?
Bro, the first thing I would do is to start my academy. You know, I would definitely invest money in my academy because I am so much more focused on my academy than my sound. You know, so if I get capital, I will definitely start that. Because I had a workshop in March, and then a lot of people has reached out to me and asked me if I'm going to do a follow-up one. So I'll do the same workshop I did in March and then do a follow-up one. But I would really love to bring in professionals from all over, the international and locally in South Africa, to come in and just inspire, you know, and even have it for free, you know, have some people attend, like rappers, dancers, whoever, just to have like a workshop or a master class, you know, of these kind of things. So I would definitely invest it in something like that to give back to my community and help. I want to put Kariga on the map.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
I want to put Yitnek on the map.
Yes,
I literally want to be known for starting a huge studio opening a huge studio in Yitnek and having that academy where learners can just come in every day and just learn and have access to information and quality equipment.
Awesome. So as we are rounding up, what are going to be some of your last parting words, you know, for our listeners and viewers? Any word of encouragement or any inspiration that you have?
So there's a quote that I would like to leave the listeners with, and to sound engineers, to whoever's in the music industry, and I just want to leave them with this and say, discipline without education is better than education without discipline. So even though you feel you're not qualified, you're underqualified, or you don't have any formal training, you know, if you have discipline, there is so much more that you can achieve than with someone that has education. Education can always come later, you know. Let passion drive you, you know. Let your discipline be your success factor. People ask you, how did you make it? Discipline, you know, commitment, consistency. So yeah,
Cool.
I'd really like to leave it on with that.
For sure. Thank you so much for coming through. That, ladies and gents, that's I almost said Led Zeppelin. That's Zepplin Adams
Yeah.
of Led Zeppelin. Guys, as he said, discipline. There is something called the 10,000 hour rule. You know, you just need to put in the hours.
Yeah.
Put in the hours. And big entrepreneurs, including Elon Musk, they do all these kind of things. Things don't just happen. You make them happen. That's it for us for the midday talk session. We're going to listen to Victor's Crown as we are rounding up. Check you later.
Thank you so much for having me, bro.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, man. That was cool. We just went a little bit over time, but